Hello, and you are listening to the Book Was Better podcast, the podcast where we talk about the book of the film. I'm Luke.
I'm Hector.
And this week we're talking about Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome.
Hey you, put down the popcorn and turn on the light. It's gonna be alright, my friend. In the end, take my hand. Trust me, the book was better.
We've set up very clear rules for this podcast. 2 men enter, one man leaves. Who's it going to be? I don't know.
Bust a deal.
Unless
Take the
you're
wheel.
willing to take on this, is it Sisyphean burden?
That could be
The
one.
guy that, was he the guy that got his liver pecked
He was
out?
the liver guy, yeah.
Yeah, by the
Sisyphus.
bird, and then it grew back. Yeah, unless you're willing to take on that burden of reading one of these shitty books every week, then maybe... Well, you'll get to leave. I probably won't leave this room for a while, actually, so...
Yeah,
there
well,
we
it is
go.
actually your residence, so
All
technically
sold.
I am leaving.
True! All my shit is here! So look, here we are with the Hector Weenis. This is a great thrill. Anyone who's on our boards, on our discussion group, will know your presence. And of course, a
Well,
good
it is.
friend who I've known for quite a while now. And
Technically, no longer Hector Weenis, now Euripides Kronk.
now you're you change your name a lot.
Yeah, I
Man
get
of
bored.
mystery.
I
Yeah.
get bored very easily.
Fair enough. And here we are finally doing this thing, and what a manly podcast it's going to be as well. I just think so much testosterone because we're talking about Max. Mad. He's absolutely mad. He's furious. He's full of testosterone. He's walking across the post-apocalyptic Australian desert, which essentially it's Tatooine. For all
That's
intents
the
and
desert of
purposes.
despair, apparently.
It is like really full on played like he's a bloody Aussie icon, true blue hero, played by a very
Right down to the mullet.
endearing, abusive racist Mel Gibson. And
Racism is Australian,
that's true. He's
let's own up to it.
a bit of Aussie pride as he goes through the desert, fucking people up essentially. So this is a thrill. You chose this one, yeah? You Mad Max aficionado?
We have been queuing this up for probably around the last 6 months, so I
That's
did actually
true.
choose it around the time of Fury Road.
About the time in 1985 you chose this,
Yeah, pretty much.
just after it hit the bookshelves. It's taken us this long. We had to wait quite a while for podcasts to be invented,
Yeah, true.
and now here we are.
I think we tried on ham radio for a while.
That's true. Oh yeah, Breaker. You're listening to
Dash, 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 dot, dot, dot.
Little Bear and Big Bear. Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome over. I don't know any of that CB radio chat.
No, I never was into that either.
No. I've never driven a truck, but Mad Max has. And this is episode 146, Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome, the third Mad Max movie. And I was quite new to this, I got to admit, and it's a kind of odd one because I'm going to say right off the bat that I don't reckon it's that badly written. I think it's actually quite well written, in fact.
Yeah, I might have an issue with that.
Well,
Some of her metaphors.
Fight it out. In the Thunderdome. But it's by
Bungie Dome.
an author who is very familiar to regular Book Was Better listeners, Joan de Vinge. Vinge being one of my favourite
That's a classic name.
euphemisms. It's great, isn't it? Because one, like it sounds
/minge.
so much like a minge, but then you replace the M with a big old V.
Yeah, it's a classy minge.
So yeah, Joan de Vinge, author of many original works, but also a bit of a novelization guru. She's written books that we've already done on this show, such as Return to Oz, Santa Claus the movie, not to be confused with the Tim Allen Santa Claus.
Oh no, of course not.
With an E, although
Dudley Moore.
that's coming up in December if people are hanging out for some Santa Claus. Willow. And then a couple of books we've yet to do, Cowboys and Aliens. And can you believe that Joan de Vinge is still going strong with 47 Ronin? That's that
I
Keanu
honestly
Reeves.
did not even know that they still did novelizations of movies.
Oh, they certainly do. Certainly do. Well, we did Paper Planes just last week, and that only came out within the last 12 months or so. So it's,
For all those literate Wertho fans.
it's a very viable business and a great way to earn a crust.
Oh, I used to be obsessed with novelizations when I was a kid. I had the Willow one, but obviously not the Joan de Vinge one. I had the Waylon Drew one.
That's the junior one. Or was it the...
And Joan da Vinge did the junior one, which I found interesting.
Oh, did we do the junior one, did we?
I don't know.
Oh, so yours was more like...
Oh, way more adults.
More adult, yeah. Val Kilmer was even more racist.
Yeah, big time.
He didn't just call him Peck, he called him like fucking Peckerhead.
Oh, Pecker. That was a shorten. They shortened it.
Hey, Pecker. Yeah. Well, look, she's a luminary. She's definitely a shining light in the field of novelization. So it's always a pleasure to get right up in the Vinge and see.
Go get vinged.
So yeah, let's sniff it and see. This is the beginning. Chapter 1, The Ambush. They called it the Desert of Despair.
It had had another name, or 2 or 3, back when there were still maps and anyone who cared what was written on them.
This was the name that stuck, because it still had some meaning.
Nothing moved on its mirage-haunted surface for endless miles, except the red, restless sand, creeping grain on grain towards some nameless destination.
It had lain unchanging for centuries, millennia, unlike the world around it, which had changed and changed again, until nuclear war had put an end to everything but desolation. I reckon that's not a bad opening from the Vinge.
Yeah.
It's a good Vinge opening.
I mean, nothing says Mad Max like a lack of vehicles. From
Well,
the outside.
there's a vehicle in here.
Not yet.
There's about to be in this sequence.
She hasn't even preempted.
There
She could
are-
have called it the Highway of Despair.
There are
Desert of
going
Despair.
to be 2 vehicles very, very shortly. The first one is not Max's vehicle. It's actually this thing.
No.
Yeah.
Well, you see... Oh, okay, we were talking about the book, not the movie. Sorry.
Yeah, well,
Peeking behind the curtain.
the book was better. That's your clue.
Yep.
If any eyes were watching, they would have seen the rattletrap relic that had once been a single-engine plane soar over the cliffs. There you go. There's the vehicle I'm talking about. As incongruous as a pterodactyl, it circled down and down through the erratic currents of heated air, searching endlessly, restlessly, like a scavenger wind. So this is kind of interestingly written.
Yeah.
So
Action words. Lots of action
You're
words.
not convinced, but I've read some shit on this pod. This is good, I'm telling you. In the cockpit, Jebediah sat at the controls. His bloodshot eyes insectoid behind Coke bottle bottom glasses, a pith helmet pulled over his ears. He was totally piffed. An explorer of the new age, searching for the rarest of finds, live prey.
Insectoid. What is she going for there?
Like, that's creating a character. It's Bruce Stamp, right?
Bruce Spence.
Bruce Spence. Terrence Stamp,
Who
Bruce
actually
Spence.
played a character called Stork. Set in 70s Australian movies.
Yep. And he's in Revenge of the Sith.
Yeah, well, I think every jobbing Australian actor was pretty much in one of those Star Wars movies, weren't they?
He was Tion Madon, I believe. There you go.
There we go.
Yeah, I think he's got a bit of an odd appearance. He's an odd-looking fellow.
Yeah, I'll get back to the insectoid thing later on. There are a few references to insects
Well,
in the Vinge.
it's post-apocalypse, cockroaches everywhere. What can you expect? And this guy is fanging around the desert. He's got his son in the plane. It's a father-son bonding moment, and they spy an odd camel train moving through the desert.
Can we talk about the movie as well?
Yeah. Yes, I will allow it.
Well, there's controversy in whether he is the same pilot from the second Mad Max 2, the gyro pilot, given that they're played by the same actor in Bruce Spence. So is it him? Supposedly he became the leader of the Great Northern Tribe at the end of Mad Max 2, so probably not.
Maybe it's his brother.
Yeah, well, this is my theory. Neither of them recognize each other throughout the movie.
Yeah.
So my theory is that there's a race of pilot clones existing in this universe who are forever fanging around the desert in search of live prey, as she says.
Could they maybe
We
have...
never see a pilot mother. He's got a little pilot boy.
Maybe there's a pilot queen, and they have a hive mind, kind of
Maybe.
like insects.
Well, there we go.
Yeah.
It's all coming together.
Justified. He squinted into the glare and dust. This isn't him now. This is the person that's in the camel train. Watching the swaying humps of 8 camels hitched to the dune buggy's corpse, dragging it with infinite patience towards his destination. I like this already. 8 camels, dune buggy. This is post-apocalyptic Santa Claus. This is someone who has had to sign a Santa Claus with an E on the end. I don't think he signed a clause. I think he read the clause.
Yeah, except he grew his beard on the back of his... It's a mullet instead of a
That's
Santa
right, it's a
Claus
back
beard.
beard. Back beard to protect your neck from the sun.
That's why we grow them. And I get this dragging with infinite patience towards his destination, which suggests that their camel train is exceedingly slow, yet Max has a lot of trouble catching up to it when he's running after it. I'm preempting things, spoiling things.
Well, yeah, but I mean, Max is used to speed. You know, he's a car man. So, you know, these camels would feel very slow to him, I reckon.
Okay.
Don't you
So
reckon?
running would feel even slower for you?
Running would be really slow. I think walking,
He does have that knee brace.
walking is what makes him mad. He hates it. And then,
When he's in a car, he's happy, man.
oh, fuck, he loves it. Well, like, look at Fury Road. He was in a car the whole time, pretty much. Everyone was in
and
a
he
car.
had smiles all around.
He was so happy.
never
Well,
stopped
you couldn't
smiling.
see because he was wearing the mask, but under the mask, he was grinning, a shit-eating grin the whole time. And yeah, look, friggin' Jebediah, he leaps out of the plane, leaving his son, I guess, to pilot it, lands on a camel's back. I call that a hump, where I'm from, and just starts gunning it, fucking off with these camels. This is a
He
guy
puts his
that's...
foot on the accelerator somehow.
Yeah, he's got a plane, but he wants 8 camels. Weird. He leaves the frustrated driver. We still don't know who this... We've talked about it being Max, but that's a spoiler. At the moment, it's just the driver, you guys, chasing after him barefoot. And then, now, if things weren't already pretty great, this happens.
The dune buggy's canopied rear end emerged slowly from the cloud of dust as he gained ground inch by agonizing inch. As he began to see the shadowed, junk-filled interior clearly, a monkey's small, round, terrified face suddenly filled the opening. Christ, the monkey! The monkey was the only thing in the world he gave a damn about.
You and me both, pal. And I, for one, hope this crazy monkey goes completely apeshit. I like Mad Max and Monkey. That's sold already. In fact...
There's a lot of alliteration. MMM.
Did he get the monkey in the second movie, or is this a monkey that comes... This is just a surprise
No,
monkey?
he had a blue healer in the second movie. It's
So-
actually quite surprising that this monkey actually seems to live in this movie, because Mad Max has been death on pets in the first 2 movies.
I guess it's like how, you watch Raiders of the Lost Ark, and then you watch Temple of Doom, and suddenly Indiana Jones has a monkey.
Isn't Temple of Doom
Oh,
like
that
a
was
prequel,
short.
though?
That was Short Round. I'm thinking of.
Speaking of racism.
That's not racist. He's just a little chimpy. That's not bad. I meant that in an endearing way, not a racist
Sure.
Mel Gibson way. Yeah, I'm excited about the monkey. I think this is a really good addition.
I might be like revealing too much behind the curtain here, given that I've only read these excerpts. But did they expand upon the relationship between Max and the monkey in the text?
No, they don't tell you why he got the monkey or how he got the monkey. It's interesting because I was...
Why their love dare not speak its name.
Yeah, well, one of my favourite images, and I've got it on my work computer, I found it while doing some research. It's this magazine, I guess, called A Boy's Life or something. It's an old magazine. And just like comic books of old, it would have advertisements for things you could mail away for. And one of them is an affectionate little monkey. And one of it's about like $14. It's a spider monkey, I think. No, not a spider monkey, like a
Capuchin.
squirrel monkey. Squirrel monkey. Spiders and squirrels, very, very different things. So yeah,
Spider monkeys and squirrel monkeys.
it's a squirrel
Not so
monkey,
different.
and one of the selling points is that it has a childlike face.
They put it in the box with it.
No, and the picture is this cute, adorable little monkey wearing a little hat and carrying a little rifle, which is really weird because you're
How
like,
else is he going to get a
this
child's
monkey's
face?
going to shoot your face up. So you think about this and you think these things must have been around a while. And then I did some more research and, because you're thinking, are there stories of people that have actually ordered them? Like,
Yeah,
what?
I can't remember what it was, but I have actually heard about them. Like, they just used to send them in the mail. So they arrive having been mailed from somewhere, not under any special circumstances or conditions. I can't remember where I read this or heard
Yeah,
it.
there's
So
a
it might have
really
been a podcast
good
itself.
article on a comic site. I can't remember what it is, so I think it might have been Comic Book Resources, but I'm not sure. But someone, got it.
And they were completely undomesticated because they'd just
Yeah.
gone to whatever
And it was
dark
just in a
continent
box.
they came from.
And
Yeah.
it had no instructions. And basically, it jumped out, tried to escape up some pipes. He grabbed it by the tail, and it just bit the shit out of his arm and neck, and he had to have like about 18 stitches or something.
Probably every shot under the sun.
Yeah, but he did end up befriending the monkey. But what I found out, and you read about people's experiences with these monkeys.
The trauma was so hilarious.
Like, you think monkeys are funny because they smoke cigars and they ride, they have roller skates, they do, like, lots of things to entertain us, but apparently they are absolute shit faces. Like, they aren't really interested in being your friend. They're aggressive, they don't trust you, they like food, they might, like, be nice to you if you've got food, but they just run around and, like, go fucking nuts. And they, like, if one gets outside...
Living, breathing things.
How are you gonna catch this monkey? It's gonna... I mean... Max is smart because he's in a desert, so there's no trees for it to jump up and run, it's disappearing in the trees. I'm going to have to swing like Mutt Williams, another great character, through the trees to catch the monkey. No, he's got it in the desert. I think
that's a patented training technique.
I just think it's that's probably it. I bought this monkey.
The desert.
Let's go out in the middle of the desert.
No bananas.
Teach this monkey some respect. Anyway, the monkey sort of helps Max a little bit because he's in the monkey's in the back of the dune buggy, and he throws a whole heap of random shit out the back, which the driver, who may or may not be Max, goes to collect, and then he unwraps
the driver, which
his
is why
turban,
he's so mad now.
And his identity is revealed. And then, didn't you think, like, because he takes off the turban and he reveals himself, I thought, this is going to be the beginning of The Force Awakens.
What?
Well, we've seen it from the trailer, right? It's like the same thing.
30 years before The Force Awakens
she's got a turban, and she's out in the desert, and she goes down into a wrecked, like, ship, and then takes it off, and you go, oh, it's the beautiful Daisy Ridley. This is the same movie.
Exactly the same. I think this is you admitting to your psychosis, Luke.
Maybe.
Everything is The Force Awakens.
Well, at least it's not being recorded. Here is.
And if it's not The Force Awakens, it's Daisy Bloody Ridley.
Yeah, I like Ridley. I hope she's good because wouldn't that be embarrassing? Like with my full chest tattoo already. Because already in the trailer she's like, "Hello, I'm Ray. Can you lend us £1 so I can buy some lager?
So I can go down to the shops.
I want to get some chips from the chippy. I'm gonna get a chip butty.
I'm gonna buy me a Death Star.
I'm gonna buy me some chips from the robot." Okay, so yes, this is our description of Max.
Isn't he?
If you like.
His brown hair, which had once kept cut short with almost military precision, was shoulder length now, streaked with grey at the temples. He was nearing middle age, and the life he led aged a man fast. 2 days growth of stubble stood out on his lean jaw. A white scar slashed starkly across his sun-browned forehead and cheek, angling over his left eye. The eye itself was as startlingly blue as the desert sky. He had nearly lost it in the fight. He was still alive. The man who had marked him was not. Which is bullshit. Because for people who have seen the second movie, he gets that scar on his eye from when Wes forces him off the road, like about 3/4 of the way through before he goes back and drives the truck.
I thought he was.
So it wasn't actually a fight.
Opening a stubby with his eye socket.
Could have been. Oh, this is post-apocalypse. I don't know how many stubbies there are around at the moment.
Well, if you get one, you value it.
And his brown hair, which it once kept short, was shoulder length now. It's not shoulder length hair. It's a freaking mullet. It's still relatively short on top and flowing at the back. It is the worst. It is pretty much, it looks like the same hair that the feral kid had in Mad Max 2.
It looks like he's being fucked by a badger. They called him Mad Max if they called him anything. Names in the New Order were totem signs, no longer simple markers for a face. Markers were for tombstones. Once he had a name, just like the Blister Mountain shimmering in the heat haze behind him, just like everyone else. Max Rockatansky. But that had been a lifetime ago.
An Australian name.
Before the apocalypse, when names and life itself had still seemed to have some meaning. Before Australia had been blown to hell, along with the rest of the world, before all humanity had become victim of its own venality, stupidity, and greed. How fucking badass is this book?
Yeah, fuck you, humanity.
Yeah.
Venal, stupid and greedy.
Australia, it's hot enough to fry an egg.
So this is one of my first quibbles with the Vinge, though. Like, names in the New Order were totem signs? What? Like, totem signs are objects or animals that, like, tribes adopted as emblems due to, like, some spiritual significance that they found. Worshipping names is kind of the opposite of what she's trying to describe there, surely.
But don't
Where she's talking about anonymity.
Everyone now has, like, their kind of totem name. They have that name, which it's just like, you know, when you're a tribe member and you're born and you get called Two Dogs Fucking because outside the tent, that's what's happening.
Joke.
Yeah. So, like, isn't everybody in Mad Max named, like, for kind of what they represent?
No.
You don't reckon? What about Pig Killer?
Well, that's a tattoo on his chest that everyone's taking a calling
or
him.
Screw Loose, or Iron Bar. It's all what they represent, not like, it's not like Jeff and Steve and Dano.
Yeah, but a totem is specifically something that's worshipped. So they're not worshipping themselves.
I think you're being figurative and you're being very literal, sir.
I'm sorry, words matter.
So, Mad Max,
Hashtag words matter.
he's going to Bartertown to get his goddamn monkey back. And if that isn't the greatest premise for a film that you've ever heard, then I pity you. I don't
It should have
know.
been called Mad Max Return of the Monkey.
He's gonna get his goddamn monkey back if it's the last thing he does. And there's all these crazy people queuing up to get into Bartertown. There's like irradiated water cellars. There's shackled girls. There's like Ewoks and orcs. I think there's a Snuffleupagus and some Greedos there. Just all sorts of crazy shit.
I literally did spot a Popeye and I was a Crocodile Dundee on the top of the Thunderdome.
Yes.
With the Akubra hat. And so much naked, sweaty man flesh.
It's all there. And then guarding the entrance is bloody Angry Anderson. Now, this is fantastic. Like, yeah, explain Angry Anderson if somebody doesn't know who this is. If like an American listener.
Oh, dude, American listeners know about the great Aussie pub band Rose Tattoo, which has a massive bogan following, speaking about mullets, in Australia. Jesus, I can't even remember what their famous songs were.
No idea. But yeah, he's a stocky...
We Can't Be Beaten, I think that's one of
He's
their
a stocky,
famous
bald
ones.
guy in a band, and kind of like an Australian personality, right? He'd be... You wouldn't... I wouldn't be surprised to see him as a judge on Hey Hey It's
Post-Rose
Saturday
Tattoo,
or something like that.
Well, he parlayed his Rose Tattoo fame into a solo record career, and from that he became... Do you remember all those, like, fix-it-up kind of shows that we used to have?
Yeah.
He... Actually, no, it was more like, you know, what Jimmy Savile used to do, minus the kiddie fiddling, I imagine.
You're talking about a child violinist, yeah?
Yes. He had a show where he would go around and, like, build playgrounds for communities and all that sort of stuff.
Right, yeah,
in the
okay.
90s.
Yeah, I know, I recall that. Yeah. And so you've got
I
this
think it was
guy...
like a current affair and those sorts of programs.
But how Australian is this? Like, you got a film called Mad Max, right? Which is a character name. That's a made-up name. Mel Gibson is playing a guy called Mad Max. But then you've got a guy in it whose name is Angry. That's like his real name. That's not his character.
It's his totem name.
You've got a guy called Angry Anderson. Like, how bloody Aussie and is that? Like, he's just furious at the world. And then you, like, if that wasn't enough, you call him Iron Bar Bassie. Like, why not just let him be Angry Anderson in the film?
I don't know. I mean, there's only room for one.
Max studied them without seeming to, in particular the one without a mask, who wore an elaborate feathered headdress with a small skull set in its band like a jewel. He was a blunt bullet of a man, not as tall as the other, but built like a tank. His heavily muscled torso and arms were decorated with elaborate tattooing. That had to be Angry's own tattoos, right?
On him, yes.
The captain of the Bartertown Guard, he was called Iron Bar Bassie. Anyone who had ever been unfortunate enough to cross him could swear to the appropriateness of his name.
I do think this description does not describe Angry Anderson whatsoever. It's like, did the Vinge know that Angry Anderson was being cast in this role before she wrote this?
Look,
It's like not as tall. How generous is that being to him? I looked up his height and he is 1.5 meters tall.
he's 1.5 feet tall.
Yeah, 1.5 meters.
He's
He misses the cutoff of being a midget by 3 centimeters.
he's smaller than Willow. Look, Joan to Vinge is American. You think she gives a shit who Angry Anderson is?
Oh, maybe she just heard his name and, like, you assumed that he was this big, burly, strapping man.
Yeah, she was like, well, I don't want to make him angrier.
Is it Angry Anderson? It's not Furious Anderson. It's like a spectrum thing.
That's right.
Where does Mad fall next to Angry? Is Mad
I
worse than
reckon
Angry?
Angry's worse than Mad.
I don't know. Angry's kind of like, you just get a bit... It's like one past grumpy, wouldn't it?
I can handle Angry Anderson. What would I would think would be worse would be Disappointed Anderson. That would be unfortunate.
I don't know. The guilt.
So you're saying he's a little fella.
Basically, and given that there's another midgets, spoilers again, coming up in the book, who is 2'11".
Yeah.
I've been going mad on the Google looking up people's heights today.
Why wouldn't you?
I mean, it's basically there's only 3 centimeters between Max and the bloody Lollipop Guild.
The Lollipop Guild is scary. We were talking about this in a show recently. That guy, that we represent the Lollipop Guild. Yeah, Christ. All right, so they don't want to let Max in to Bartertown, so naturally he just like shoots at Angry Anderson.
As you do. Never taking his eyes off the collector, Max reached under his robes with his free right hand, bringing up the sawed-off shotgun he wore slung at his side. He fired. The blast shredded the feathers of Ironbar's headdress and stung his skull.
Yeah, I don't know, one free hand. I wouldn't know what the other hand was doing. Was he smoking a dart? Was he smashing a tinny?
I just love that description, stung his skull.
Yeah.
Ironbar's got a little ouchies on his skull.
It was his fake little jewel skull, but still.
But that's the thing, like in the movie it's not even Ironbar. It's one of his men that has the elaborate headdress, because Ironbar has that weird-ass Japanese creepy mask behind him.
Joan da Vinge is like a 60-year-old American woman. Like the fact, like she's doing such a good job making sense of all of this, and you're going to complain about the feathers.
I'm going to complain about everything.
All right, that's fair enough. That's
I was under the impression that was here.
That is our modus operandi usually, but I kind of like this one to a point, which we will get to. There's some more spoilers. So yes, they let Max in, but they're going to let him come in because he's so good at shooting guards in the face. That would be a good reason to keep him out, I would think. But they say, no, look, come on in.
Well, the guards are generally on the outside of the building, aren't they? So if he's inside, he can't shoot any more guards.
That's true. And it literally takes him a full page to check in all his weapons because he has a billion of them in every possible crevice.
That's where his right hand was. It was.
He pulls
his left hand was.
a morning star out from between his nuts. It's incredible.
Plus, for all those eagle-eyed viewers, he had Bubba Zanetti's Luger from the first film.
Oh. And, you know, there is a lot of bartering happening in Bartertown.
It's a clever name. Okay. Everywhere, traders bartered the way he should have been bartering. Chickens for grain, grain for alcohol, alcohol for sex.
Which sounds like a lot of hard work. Why not just fuck the chicken?
Yeah, basically.
It reminds me of, like, Yoda going, like, chickens lead to grain, grain leads to alcohol, alcohol leads to sex.
I remember that part of it.
And it's in Phantom Menace.
Okay. That's probably why I don't remember it. I don't get that sentence either. Everywhere traders bartered the way he should have been bartering. Are they talking about Max?
Yeah.
Okay. So
Yeah, Max should have been bartering.
So he should have brought chickens along just for this occasion.
Well, he might have been doing that. That's what we don't know.
Why didn't the fucking monkey... The monkey's such a pal. Why didn't the monkey throw the chickens out the back of the camel
Because
train?
the monkeys, they're fearful and they're aggressive.
This monkey was fucking with him.
Look, I just reckon that's why... Because he was on his way to Bartertown with the camels.
Or,
with
here's
a lot of
theory,
sweet stuff to trade.
the monkey was jealous that he was going to fuck the chickens.
That he was going to go the full gonzo.
Yeah. Max is the monkeys.
So, look, we meet a lot of weird characters here. And we're about to meet the boss of Bartertown. Max is... And I can't wait to meet this guy. This
guy?
This strong man.
Presumptuous.
Well, come on, Bartertown. I can't imagine it would be led by anything.
You're about to
except
meet
for
Asian Kenny G if we're talking about the movie.
a strong white male. I'll be very shocked if it's anything but. And Max is taking up a tower to meet...
A woman stepped through. Not any woman. Auntie Entity. She was not young. He guessed that she was at least his own age. But her body was firm and taut beneath a calf-length dress of silver metal mesh that left almost nothing to the imagination. Her hair was silver blonde, worn in a hawk's crest cascade. Her skin the colour of coffee with cream. She wore masses of bracelets and heavy earrings and incredibly high-heeled shoes.
She looks like she's being fucked by a badger too.
She looks like she's the female Mr. T.
I like that you can imagine Tina Turner. This book comes out 1985. Straight to the bookstore, picks it up, and he's like, "I looked pretty fabulous in this film. Let's see how I was described." Straight off the bat, casting shade. She was not young. Bloody Tina Turner throws this thing down in disgust.
I know, it's like she was not young. She was at least his own age. It's like the friggin' Hollywood paradigm right there, isn't it? Like,
yes,
older women,
Yep.
they're past their use-by date.
I didn't even realise she was kind of a bad guy. I always thought that she was like a hero with him.
Well, she's not.
It's ambiguous.
Yeah, I mean, one man's bad guy is another person's, hero, I guess. She's built that town and put it together. For the people of Bartertown, she's probably slightly heroic.
Do you think she had to barter to put together Bartertown?
You'd hope so.
Well, what do we know about? Do you know?
I heard that name was in false advertising.
You know more about this than I do. Tina Turner. Any stories behind this?
Well, she was never referred to as Entity in the film. She was just called Auntie.
Yeah, right.
Or the Entity. Someone could have called her Entity, and in the Australian accent, it could sound the same. I know. The dress that she wore weighed about 50 kilos.
Shit.
And she shaved off all her hair to wear that bitching wig.
By which you mean that was the name of the badger?
Yes.
Yeah.
Bitching wig. And also, I was kind of into it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And how come her and Angry Anderson never released a duet?
I don't know. Who was the holdout there, do you reckon? I reckon he was up for anything. So,
I'm sure he was.
So it's got to be Tina. It's just like, hey, I don't want any trouble, pal.
Here's my demo. Here's my demo reel, Tina.
The woman looked Max up and down in turn, her glance raking his torn, filthy clothing, his wild hair and haggard face. Look, Tina, people in glass houses should not throw stones.
The Vinge is going to fucking town on people here.
Very judgmental. Look, let's get this story straight. So Max proves he's very much a fitting badass by belting the shit out of everyone in the room, except for Entity. But he does beat up Angry Anderson again. This time he hits him with a plate in the throat.
And he gets poor old Frank Thring as the collector in the nuts.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is the first time we get to see Angry Anderson or Iron Bar being completely unkillable. And, there's pretty much a direct correlation between his absolute uselessness in any of these fights that he figures in and his unkillability.
Well, I know the name Frank Thring. What else has he been in?
He was Pontius Pilate in Ben-Hur.
Wasn't Angry Anderson in Jesus Christ Superstar? Who did he play?
And he played Pontius Pilate.
Damn! Holy
There you go.
shit!
Maybe him and Thring should have done a duet.
Yeah, it's a Thring thing. And Tina Turner, sure Thring, yeah. Tina Turner wants Max to fight the owner of a pig farm that basically powers all of Bartertown with its copious amounts of pig shit. Mm-hmm. So Max views the farm through a periscope and he sees.
He saw what appeared to be two workers being dressed down by a much smaller man, wearing goggles and what looked like a samurai helmet. The man doing the yelling was not only small, but old, and Max was surprised at the fear he saw on the workers' faces.
And then the small man began to rise higher and higher as the two technicians stepped back, looking up. The small man was only the size of a child, and he was riding a saddle, perched like a shriveled bird on the back of a rhino, on the shoulders of the most enormous and powerful-looking man that Max had ever seen. The big man's face and head were entirely hidden inside an elaborately segmented metal helmet. The effect was not simply bizarre, but monstrous, like the carapace of some highly magnified insect.
There you go. Fucking insects again. This is like a goddamn William Burroughs novel.
I do think, though, that's a pretty good description. Like, I picture him looking like those, those big bug things in the Dark Crystal?
Beetles.
In the Dark Crystal.
What, they're like crabs? They're like
Those
crabby
big
things.
black guys.
Yeah, had the claws and...
Yeah, and they have the
pinches
claws,
and
but they got like a big carapace. Anyway. These guys, they are Master Blaster. So the little one's Master, big guy's Blaster, and they literally throw shit at Max and Tina. They're like checking them out, having a big old perv through the periscope, and they lodge a big heap of pig shit at the lens.
The early review of the film.
And like, speaking of shit, Max goes and gets a job at the pig place. And this is a great opening sentence.
Max shoveled shit. Getting the job had been easy. The shit patrol didn't get many volunteers.
Why didn't they call this film Mad Max Shit Patrol?
Well, it would have been a nod to like his previous career in the police force.
And he's with a bunch of crims called Thief, Deal Buster, and Pig Killer.
There we go, the totems again.
Great totem names. But then shit gets far too real. Max has a breaking point, and this is it.
Max drifted away from the cart, carrying his shovel, trying for a better look at Blaster. All at once, a small, furry brown face popped up over Blaster's massive shoulder.
Was it childlike?
Yes. He had a little rifle and a pith helmet. Meeting his stare across the crowd of swine and humans, Max started, seeing his own monkey in the hands of Master Blaster.
Oh, no, you didn't. You do not mess with another man's monkey. That is the bro code.
I tell you, so many people handle Max's monkey in this movie.
I know, and no wonder he's mad.
You're going to wonder how this got a PG-13.
And then shit gets even worse. They've also got Max's sweet dune buggy, which is also rigged with explosives, like just in case anyone wants to mess with it. And Master's trying to get it all sorted, but it turns out he's not quite as smart as Max expected.
Oh, that was a dune buggy corpse.
It was originally, but now they're breathing some like it's a Frankenstein creation.
Yeah.
It's a monster of a dune buggy.
Problem? You expert! Disarm!
I love it. Max was surprised, not for the first time today, to hear the mastermind of the underworld talking like a 3-year-old.
This is I don't get this characterization. And this isn't a Vinge thing. This is like a movie / Vinge thing. Like he's supposed to be this like mentally powerful but physically weak
Yes.
sort of person, and he has this symbiotic relationship with his polar opposite in Blaster, who's physically powerful but mentally weak. But everyone reacts to Master as though he's like this massive engineered genius as the only reason that Bartertown is continuing to keep going. He's producing the power. But he's like this shriveled little thing that rides around on a rhino, man. And he talks at like a preschool level, and he doesn't ever demonstrate why anyone should give enough of a shit about him to drive the majority of the plot of this film. They have the shit producing infrastructure in place. The plant is there. The pigs are continually pooping. And once Blaster is out of the way, spoilers again, why do they go to so much trouble to keep like Master around and try to get him back after that even?
Because he's so cute. No, but I mean, the thing is, say what you will about him, he's made it work. I've got some things to say about you, you little cunt. He has made it work. He's turned pig shit, something you or I.
But he's
like,
made
if I
it
turned
work.
up to your house with a bucket of pig shit, you'd say, no thanks, mate. Not interested.
That's rather
he has
presumptuous.
turned that pig shit into gold, essentially. Well, into fuel, which is better than gold, for people who want to fang around and do broggies in the desert in a post-apocalyptic Australian landscape. So I think he's a genius in other ways. He's like
he's built this like infrastructure. Like what? Why do they still need him?
But that's what like those sorts of people are like. Like if you ever had a plumber, like a plumber comes around and he's like, "You got problem, me fix." Show shit pipe. Like that's the working class.
So it's a just in case.
Yes.
He's a working class now. He's like an engineering genius.
We sit here on these ivory thrones.
Rick has these very lovely ivory thrones
beautiful.
in his room.
Yeah, so many elephants. But if you're going to leave them all lying around in the graveyard. Anyway, look, Max and Master Blaster, these guys, they're just not getting along.
Me, Master! Run Bartertown!
Sure, Max gasped. That's where you live in shit.
Not shit!
Master said coldly.
Energy!
Max's mouth thinned. Call it what you like, it still smells like shit.
Energy!
Master shouted. Blaster gave his captive a shake, like a mastiff shaking a rat.
No energy, no town! Me King Arab!
Master struck himself on the chest again. Oh, sure, Max said through gritted teeth. Me, fairy princess.
Racism and homophobia.
Australia.
It's like they captured Australia's essence in this movie.
So look, he gives a show of his power, ironically, by shutting off the power And this
What is his power?
hits Auntie Entity, Tina Turner, right in the gut, and she is forced to bellow his name over a loudspeaker.
Who run Barter Town?
And she's like, you do! Master Blaster does! Which is humiliating for bloody Tina Turner. Royalty, isn't she, really? So Max manages to escape after, luckily, he didn't have his weapons, but he had his rape whistle. So he blows it, and we realise that Blaster is weak to loud noises. And then you've got so many great notes here that you're not reading.
Yeah.
And
Rapist kryptonite.
The rape whistle.
And then Max goes back to Bartertown. So I was confused here. It was, what's his plan even? Like, why go over there and get a job and shovel shit if you're just going to come back here?
Because he was sizing up his opponent, wasn't that? And then, he randomly discovers his weakness by happening to blow his rape whistle.
It's the biggest
or setting off the alarm on his car.
troll since Return of the Jedi, when Luke's plan really doesn't require...
This reminds me so much of Return of the Jedi, by the way, this film. It's like the Return of the Jedi of the Mad Max trilogy, without a doubt.
Yeah, I can see that. But, like, what in Luke's plan, which was basically, we'll just fight, required Lando to go there and get a job and, like, work in that shitty place for however many months that he worked, just so that Luke basically turned up and just hit everyone with his lightsaber. He could have done that anytime.
Maybe he realised that, Lando needed a sense of self-worth.
Yeah, you convinced me. So Entity gives Max brand new black leather duds. I thought this was a great bit of humour from the Vinge.
He assumed their generosity was motivated less by altruism than by the fact that Entity didn't want pig shit on her carpets.
Can you blame her? So Entity tells Max he's gonna have to challenge Master Blaster in the Thunderdome, where
Two men enter, one man leaves.
Again, why couldn't he have just done that from the first place instead of go out and shovel shit?
Because then he wouldn't have discovered that Blaster was susceptible to...
Loud noise, yeah, okay. Well, let's put a pin in that, because that would assume that as soon as they get in Thunderdome, he is blowing the shit out of that rape whistle.
You'd think.
Instead of maybe, getting sledgehammered in the ribs. We'll find out. And then, look, Master Blaster... Say what you will about him, I think he's an amazing character. He's decreed that it's Saturday night, and this is the fourth Saturday night in the week. Basically, this is the Australian dream. He flashes a sign that says Saturday night, and then everyone just goes fucking feral and has a great time. So he's fanging around in Max's pimped out car, really just to take the piss out of him.
No longer dead Jew buggy.
Just to make him even madder.
Frankenbuggy. At Master's order, it had been fitted with a huge methane cylinder, of course, and totally souped up mag wheels, mate. Flashing lights, foxtail streamers.
Or she'll blow your doors, mate.
Blaster sat in the driver's seat, operating the pedals. Master perched in his lap, swinging a bottle of booze, wielding the steering wheel with wild and hopeless incompetence.
That is the true blue Aussie way. This is
Wild and hopeless incompetence.
Yeah, this is the dream.
I can't believe she actually used totally souped up mag wheels.
Look, this is a 60-year-old American woman. Granted, she wasn't 60 when she wrote this, but the thing is, I'm totally buying that she is
An order of
the
experts.
architect of this post-apocalyptic Australian world. She's selling it to me. I think it's fantastic.
I think she read a few Street Machines.
And Max throws some fucking booze at Blaster's head, and his monkey escapes.
Which is, again, the true blue Aussie way. Usually you follow it up by throwing the glass.
And then Max caught up his pet, holding it against his chest, soothing it. Master turned, his eyes blazing, to see the man who had mocked him and gotten away with it only this afternoon. "Tell your ape to leave my monkey alone," Max said with deadly calculation.
Burn.
Absolutely reasonable, in my opinion. And but then Blaster, he manages to take the monkey back. And look, there's only one thing for it now.
Bring it on.
Bring on the Thunderdome. We are drinking while we're Australian way. I've been burping a lot on the podcast. Like, I'm waiting for someone. There's so many other podcasts I listen to, and when like people go, like not like real comedians and stuff, but like fan podcasts where there's American ones where people are like, oh, like I burped, and people on the forums are saying, oh, you really shouldn't have done that. You know,
They're actually full on offended by it.
yeah, they're offended by it. This is a little burp. I could have edited it out, but now we've made
Drunk
it a
history.
thing.
Everyone loves drunk history.
Well, that's true.
We're
That's the
making
exception.
drunk
But that's
history.
by like smart. That's by like smart real comedian people.
Don't sell yourself short, Luke. Come on.
Yes, okay. Yes, Thunderdome. Thunderdome, that's what's happening. So, here we go. The harnesses were suspended from bungees, 2 coils of heavy elasticized cable suspended from Thunderdome's roof. Max let his eyes rove the arena, his uncertainty growing as the guard hitched him into the harness. At last he located their weapons on platforms high above the dome walls.
But why does he need any other weapon but the friggin' rape whistle?
That was my point. Look, the thing is, I don't understand sports. You're a sportsman.
Sports guy.
Explain Thunderdome to me.
Well, it's basically just like cricket mixed with Australian rules, mixed with bungee jumping.
Yeah.
Plus chainsaws.
Sounds fantastic.
So I was in my Googling today. I noticed that Roger Ebert was very taken with this film. He thinks it's the best of the trilogy, gave it 4 out of 4. And this scene in particular, he said, Thunderdome is the first really original movie idea about how to stage a fight since we got the first karate movies. Thunderdome is to fighting as 3D chess is to a flatboard, and the weapons available to the fighters are hung from the inside of the dome. Cleavers, broadaxes, sledgehammers, and the inevitable chainsaw. The fight between Mad Max and Master Blaster is one of the great creative action scenes in the movies.
Okay, it's been a little while since I've seen it. Do you reckon is that like just a 1985 viewpoint, or do you reckon it holds up?
Well, you know, we've had The Matrix and all these movies, Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, since then with Yuan Wu Ping and his wire work, which is kind of puts the fucking bungee work to shame.
Kung Fu Panda 2.
Yeah, of course.
Beverly Hills Ninja. It was a nightmare in zero gravity. There were no rules at all, just like Dr. Dealgood had promised. Not even the rules of nature. So unnatural things were happening in the Thunderdome.
Yeah, well, again, you know, bungee jumping is at least half about falling, so I'm not sure that's how zero gravity actually works.
It's like jumping on the moon.
Yeah, up and down.
Yes.
Well, this gravity on the moon is just like a lower gravity. You wouldn't be able to jump at all if it was zero gravity.
Oh, I don't think we've mentioned Dr. Dealgood. What's his deal?
No, he was the camel auctioneer at the start of the film. I'm not sure the text. And he's now moonlighting as a game show host. He's the one that explains the entirety of the rules to us. He says, "Listen on, this is the truth of it. Fighting leads to killing, and killing gets to warring. And that was damn near the death of us all. Look us now, busted up and everyone talking about hard rain. But we've learned, by the dust of them all, Bartertown learned. Now when men get to fighting, it happens here, and it finishes here. 2 men enter, 1 man leaves."
Ooh.
Dr. Dealgood.
I'm enjoying. You're setting the bar now. Like Courtney does voices. You're doing voices. Not enough people do voice. Sabrina does voices. Voices. Co-host. None of the co-hosts listen, but maybe someone will tell them.
Maybe they'll listen to their own ones.
So here we go. Look. Pages of Thunderdome. They're biting, they're bouncing, they're spinning, they're grabbing machetes, blood's just spraying everywhere.
Yeah, that's Dr. Dealgood's other one. Thunderdome's simple. Get to the weapons, use them any way you can. I know you won't break the rules, because there aren't any.
And people in the audience are getting hammered. Like Jebediah the thief, Bruce Spence, he gets his finger smashed by a hammer. And Max gets the absolute shit beaten out of him before finally, after all his ribs get busted and everything.
Max's effective plan.
His spine sticking out one of his eye sockets. Finally remembers his rape whistle. He hammers off the helmet as Blaster reacts to the noise. And he's about to crush Blaster's head when...
Max froze, the hammer raised over his head, his own face filling with stunned disbelief. Before him now was not the face of a monster, but only the innocent and incomprehending stare, the faintly distorted features of a severely retarded young man.
And Max won't do it. He cannot do it. He cannot bring himself to kill Blaster. He defies Auntie Entity.
I really have always had issues with this particular scene. It's just, I don't know, like when the helmet comes off and there's that obviously Down syndrome kid in that gigantic muscle body. It just is so many shades of wrong. And there's also like another fan theory that this character of Blaster is actually the farmhand character Benno, who was in the first movie, and this is him now growing up and become Blaster, which is kind of offensive because Benno was clearly did not have Down syndrome, whereas this guy clearly does have Down syndrome, so it's kind of suggesting that all retarded people are
the same,
interchangeable or the same.
Benno.
Yeah, so it's a bit of a weird theory. And also the guy who played Benno was Max Fairchild, who was Bo from the Bo Repairs ads, to any of our Australian listeners. And he was in Mad Max 2 again, but this time he played a character called Broken Victim, who was strapped to Humongus's vehicle.
They are an intricate puzzle, these films. I like this. I think this is
like recasting.
More badass writing from the Vinge. Max's pale eyes turned back her unspoken demand with the impassive coldness of a glacier. The same diamond-hard thing that lay at the core of his soul, the strength she had sensed that had made her believe he would succeed, had turned against her when he realized the truth, and she was as certain as she had been then that he would never obey her command now. She's just lost him. She's lost her hold over Max. And then Angry Anderson bloody kills Blaster himself. Comes out of the crowd, shoots him. Whoa.
Oh my god, that scene when you see his poor little face and then that gigantic hairy obviously fake hairy belly slowly deflating. It just, I can barely deal with it. There's something so gross about it.
So Auntie is totally pissed at all of this. And they sentence Max to participate in basically this Wheel of Fortune game show ripoff where he gets to spin the wheel. And he gets Gulag. But what were the other options?
On Bust the Deal, Face the Wheel, your options were death, hard labour, acquittal, Gulag, Auntie's Choice, spin again, forfeit goods, which is already done, Underworld, amputation, or life imprisonment.
Auntie's Choice definitely would be my... I'm assuming Auntie's Choice is a line of frozen pies or something like that.
I thought you were like going to play on the obvious sexual attraction between you and Auntie Entity.
And Auntie. Auntie Entity. Auntie Entery.
In which case you would not need that rape whistle.
True. It turns out, though, Gulag means he's basically sent out into the desert on a horse to die, and they make him wear, like, an iron mask.
Which in the film is a gigantic clown mask.
I think it mentions, like, it's a clown mask at some point, too.
So it's both.
It's both. Is it an iron clown mask?
No, it's this gigantic paper mache thing that actually looks like Stan Ollie or someone.
Max reeled in the saddle, his breath coming in shallow. Suffocated gasps, his face drowning in sweat inside the oven that his mask had become. His own brain was barely more functional than the horse's as he sank into a stupor of sweltering misery. He twisted mechanically at the thongs that bound his wrists behind him, the only movement he was capable of, obsessed with freeing his hands the way the horse was obsessed by water. His wrist blade already rubbed raw. The thongs had been knotted by an expert. Now, I said I like this book, and I do... But as with the film, that's where you end it.
Mm-hmm.
Don't call it Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome. Call it Mad Max Thunderdome and make it a short film.
Mad Max ends at Thunderdome.
Because what happens beyond Thunderdome
and that's
is a whole lot of unwatchable bullshit. Like all the interesting stuff. You think like Thunderdome is going to be the climax, but it's not.
Well, you'd hope. It's the fucking title of the film.
But it already happens here, so we've already had that. So wouldn't that be good? Like... He thought he was doing the right thing, tried to save him, but the people of Bartertown killed Blaster anyway, but he got mercy and he got sent off back into the desert. There he goes, Mad Max lives again to fight another adventure. The end. Credits. I wish we could stop there. We're even like almost an hour into this thing.
Well,
this
the
would be a
monkey
perfect...
comes and saves him and he goes back and gets his revenge, but we don't have to include the freaking Ewoks.
In fact, don't even like go back and get your revenge. Just the monkey saves him. Monkey comes back.
Dude, it's Mad Max.
And saves him, and you go, oh, he got his monkey back.
Well balanced, Max.
Roll the credits.
He's not just going to go, I'll cut my losses.
No,
he's mad!
No, he's not that mad. He's mad until...
Well, this is the spectrum that we're talking about. I think mad is further advanced on the spectrum than you.
I think he's mad until the point where he sees that affectionate childlike face. And then the madness just seeps out of him. And
I can't stay mad at you, monkey.
And then Mad Max 4 is like, okay, Max.
Monkey love.
Content Max. Yeah, Max, not the case.
And the monkey.
God, I thought Thora Birch had some monkey trouble, but Max, he's really suffering.
Are you talking about the monkey on her back?
No, she's got a film called Monkey Trouble.
Okay. I thought mine was a better metaphor.
She got a monkey on her back?
No.
You know, Mum was a porn star.
Yeah, wasn't
she
her
had
dad
some
as
monkeys
well?
on her.
I think the monkey on her back is actually her dad.
Dad
has
evil controlling father. Yeah, I've heard that too.
Yeah, it's turned up on film sets and made a nuisance of himself. Allegedly.
Yeah, I don't want to add to our millions of
Well, this
lawsuits.
goes, worldwide, doesn't it? So
Well, yeah,
he could be listening.
to a couple of people around the world. Sure. Now, yes, it's taken a long time for us to get here, but don't worry. The rest of the film, which I'm happy to skim through, is just a whole bunch of hippie bullshit.
Lots and lots of kids who are reminiscent of the Ewoks and Jedi.
The Lost Boys.
Or them. So there's a whole bunch of films that came out around this period. Like, this film reminds me, it's very much of its time and its place.
Yeah.
It's so much like Jedi. It's so much like Labyrinth, etc. It's like the Dark Crystal, all the rest of that. It's the PG-13 Mad Max that we didn't really need to have, but they gave us anyway.
Yeah.
It's the precursor to Babe in George Miller's career.
Didn't he just...
He liked pigs so much.
He did, yeah. He was like, imagine him just being really, like, sidetracked on the set of this, just going, I wonder.
Well, the interesting thing is that he didn't direct a lot of this film. Like, there were two directors of this film. It's him and George Ogilvy, I think, who directed most of the stuff with actors.
I read that.
Yeah, because Byron Kennedy, who was, up until then, his producing partner, was killed in a helicopter crash while scouting locations for the film. And he was in such grief that he just concentrated on the action things. He didn't want to deal with people.
Yeah.
Which is, like a massive tragedy because for anyone that knows anything about Australian cinema/TV at the time, Kennedy Miller, the producing partner, she was just like friggin' producing gold left, right, and centre. We had all these TV miniseries like Bodyline, The Dismissal, Vietnam, I think they're Bangkok Hilton. That might have been afterwards though.
You're bringing something that no one's ever brought to the podcast before, which is facts, trivia, information.
Well, this is why I'm good at quiz nights.
Knowledge.
It's
It's good. It's good.
But yeah, this film, like the original idea of this film, it wasn't supposed to be a Mad Max movie. It was supposed to just be on the worst part of the movie, which was these stupid fucking little kids. So it was going to be like a Lord of the Flies kind of thing in the Australian outback, which, we've already had, haven't we? It's like Walkabout back in the 70s.
Probably.
Okay. Jenny Gutter. That movie made me a man.
Alvin Purple.
Yeah.
That's all I remember. Look, shit does look bad for Max, but we remember Pig Killer. He did free the monkey, and he sends it out after Max with a bottle of water. And he also, like, nurses Master like a child, and I think, like, changes him and breastfeeds him, something like that.
Yes, well, these very visible breasts. But that's another scene that I have an issue with, is Pig Killer letting the monkey out. Like, one, it's a monkey. Why does Pig Killer have to climb up to the pipe to let the monkey out of the pipe? It kind of makes it a little bit conspicuous. The monkey can make its own way out of the pipe.
He's very capable, thank you.
He's a very capable monkey. He's proven that repeatedly throughout the movie. Two, how the hell does a monkey track him down in the desert?
I always thought they had, like, a bond like E.T. and Elliot.
Well, that was kind of what I was trying to get to earlier. Like,
Yeah.
they don't flesh out the relationship between Max and the monkey. There's this palpable lack of chemistry between the leads, as far as I'm concerned. I don't buy that these two have this bond, which is completely necessary to advance the plot of this movie. And, like, he gives him a tiny little bottle of water, and it's, like, completely and utterly inadequate. It's pretty much the worst rescue attempt of all time. One, I'm surprised the monkey found him. Two, what did it fucking matter when the monkey found him, because he collapsed within 5 minutes anyway.
Well, yeah, this is true. Things are pretty bad for Max. His head slammed hard on the compacted sound, cracking open the clown face mask. Now it's a clown face mask.
Yeah.
Like an eggshell. And he was wrenched and dragged, crushed and half buried in the sand by the falling horse's body. The horse came to rest at last at the bottom of the dune and lay unmoving.
This scene was almost as bad as Artax in the swamp for me as a child.
True.
Yeah.
Don't worry, cheer up, because we've got the photo section, which are black and white pictures of a whole bunch of weirdos. Tina Turner's in there. She looks like somebody's mother. And what surprised me is that Thunderdome looks tiny.
Yeah, it's like a freaking tent.
Like something you'd find at McDonald's playground. Maybe Angry Anderson built it with his team of volunteers.
Took this girdle off and doubled it as the Thunderdome. That is an impressive girdle.
So, yeah, not impressed with that. And then, of course, there's pictures of hippies and their dumb kids. Again, a sure sign that I'm going to start skimming the rest of this book.
There's Tom Jennings, who went on to host Double Dare.
Which show me?
We'll discuss
right.
him later. I won't spoil the surprise of his name.
But Max, at least,
Come on, you got to admit that there's something going on
with
there.
Tina Turner, there's something going on. I don't know, she just makes me think of a grandma, which I know
as
she's
a kid,
not
that's what I thought as well. But now that I'm older and I've aged and my tastes have matured.
She's
I look
like
at her and think,
she's like a bit of old cheese.
I was talking about my taste maturing. Not
The monkey was waiting for him. Max could have sworn that it looked embarrassed. It shouldn't be embarrassed. It's got the best haircut out of everybody in the film.
I think it's embarrassed because it didn't bring him enough water. Or maybe it was shame from being handled by all these other men.
And then, look, more desert shenanigans, and then finally, here we go. Here come the hippies.
The figure resolved little by little into something vaguely human, bristling with spines. Closer still, it became a human form, the form of a tribal hunter dressed in skins, with a shock of curly brown hair plastered down by sweat. Carrying 3 long spears and burdened down beneath a heavy pack. 17-year-old Savannah Nix, slowly, suddenly, raising her head to sniff the breeze.
She sounds like a stripper.
Yeah, and kicking a bonus for some breeze sniffing.
Down at the topless Barton Audio Savannah Nix. Be sure to tip her boys.
Something for all you breeze sniffer lovers.
Let's sniff the breeze at Savannah.
Let's check out her bristling spines.
So, there's a bunch of desert hippies. They've all got dumb names. There's a kid called Finn McCoo who literally pisses himself when he sees Max. Not out of fear, out of appreciation, I'm not sure. And,
It's marking his territory.
and they say dumb stuff like, "Tomorrow, Morrowland," he murmured. Savannah nodded eagerly.
Yeah, we's gonna live in a high scraper. We's gonna seize the video. Oh.
The magical word rolled off her tongue like a yodel.
Yeah.
So, look, I'm going to cut to the chase. These dumb hippies have a crashed commercial airplane. They believe that Max is Captain Walker, the pilot who has returned for them, and he's going to take them away, fly them to the high scrapers. Like, there's a woman here called Anna Goanna who says things like, "Okay, schlockcock." Fuck.
And why is he called Captain Walker if he's gonna fly them away again?
Yeah, and we know he hates walking. We established
what makes him
that
mad.
about an hour ago, that it makes him furious.
Well, if driving makes him so balanced, what would flying do for him?
Oh, I think he would go
Ecstatic.
batshit Max. And they've got a shaman called Screwloose.
Who, another fan theory, is a precursor to the War Boys,
Oh, okay.
given his white makeup and the black eyes.
And the hunter sort of leader alpha male is
God damn it.
Slake Mathirst, who definitely should be doing beer commercials.
It also sounds like, Pat McCock or Phil McCrevis.
Phil McCrevis is his second in command.
He also has very visible balls.
So I didn't watch that bit because I think by this stage I was suffering.
I was watching it last night on my big high def TV and I was, quite taken aback by how often I saw
How does
his
that happen? Are
balls.
they just like flopping out the bottom of his loincloth?
Basically, yeah, there's this dramatic
seeing-
scene where Max is going off to rescue the children, spoiler alert, and he's just standing there and the breeze is like flapping his little loincloth, and there's 2 visible wrinkles coming out the bottom of his little sack.
God damn. But they do cut off Max's mullet, which I think that's bad.
High point.
If it's the source of his power.
Oh, he's not Samson.
Well, how do we know?
It's the only positive thing that this entire section does for the film, as far as I'm concerned.
When they cut
That
it
hair
off,
was atrocious.
it shrieks and crawls away. And it nests in a log. And Slake tries to get it out and it hisses at him. And they're like, just leave it, it's not worth it.
You lose it out, kid.
Now, so these guys, they have literal pages and pages of prattling, and they just piss Max off, so he goes all Ash Williams on their asses. Now listen good, Max shouted. I ain't Captain Walker. I'm the guy who keeps Mr. Dead in his pocket. He held up the rifle. And I say we're gonna stay here. We're gonna live a long time, and we're gonna be thankful, right?
So, why all of a sudden is he wanting to settle down? And especially with this pathetic little playgroup, he's like a specialist at riding off into the sunset, and now suddenly he wants to settle down and hang out with these Anna Goanna and Slake Mathirst.
Well, it does. It sounds like a Bush Skimpies bar.
Yeah, and Savannah Nix sounds like a porn star.
Yes. But look, then, some of these stupid idiots go missing, and Max has to go and find them, and then they're all stuck out in the middle of nowhere with no choice but to head back towards the glittering lights of Bartertown. And I'm not a moment too soon, because this hippie time represents about 50 pages of dead weight in a 200-page book. Like, you really could
rip... It's like Tina Turner's fucking dress.
Just rip this book in half and just be satisfied with the first part. I recommend that. I recommend you do buy this book.
Just to rip it in half.
Rip it in half, throw one half over your shoulder.
Oh, the satisfaction.
Don't accidentally throw the first part over your shoulder, then you're in a world of hurt.
Keep the photos.
And then, yeah. And look, Max is totally sick of this shit. I think the Vinge is sick of this shit by this stage.
Goddamn stupid kids. On top of everything else, they'd taken his goddamn monkey too. And now they'd lost it again.
Oh, fuck.
He swore with useless frustration.
Shit.
Shepherding them on down to the bottom of the hill. Fuck.
And then, fed up Max, he has to go to the pig shit palace in the underworld where Master is being held captive.
We all remember Master, don't we?
I think so.
Kind of hard to forget.
And Iron Bar and the tallest, heaviest guard were standing face to face, each with one arm planted on a table, playing the most bizarre version of an arm wrestling game Max had ever seen. Each man had hold of a handle attached to a system of chains and pulleys. Whoever pulled down the hardest would yank his opponent's hand up into the bed of spikes waiting above. Max grimaced, looking up at the spikes. Of all the asshole ways to pass time, that is the Vinge editorializing for sure.
Yeah, she's as much a sports fan as you are, Luke, I think.
Notice she says asshole and not asshole. Oh, what's Australia?
Oh, it's very un-Australian. Well, later
Stick it
on,
up your
she says something
asshole.
about a miso, which is like completely not an Australian term.
Stick it up your ass. So
Blow
now,
it out your ass, Vinge.
we get blow it out your Vinge ass. So now we get into a whole lot of confusing episodic plot stuff.
Vinge Diesel. Are they related?
Yes, that's his sister.
And it's the Fast and the Furious again. We're on that spectrum again.
Vin Diesel, meet my sister.
Jesus Christ,
Vinge
everything's
Diesel.
fucking connected.
She's wonderful. Yeah, they get into a look, they escape from the underground with Master in a train. The pig shit place blows up. Entity decides to go after Max.
Yeah, there's conveniently a train track.
Yes. Well, you've got to get back and forth to barter.
Except they don't, because the train is a house.
Okay. I need to watch this bit. This bit I'm done by this stage. Which is a shame, because this is the car stuff, right?
Yeah, this is the Miller directed bits.
Bartertown dudes, they all head out in their fancy cars. There are 1,000 characters involved now. All have crazy names. I can't keep track of any of it. Max's June buggy is there. Screw Loose, he's swinging around a frying pan.
He's trying to drive with the fucking frying pan.
And then they run into the hijacker from the beginning, Jebediah, who of course has a plane, and Max forces him to load all the hippies into it and fly them away.
And they find Jebediah because his stupid little pod child, or insectoid child, is waiting on a mound which is placed on the track to do a stick-up of the house train that they're travelling along in. Like, this is obviously not a well-used route, because this is the one friggin' train that exists, and it's probably been sitting in Bartertown for as long as Bartertown's existed.
I reckon that Savannah Nix is a well-used route, if you get my drift, boys.
Well, she does give birth at the end.
Whoa, spoilers. Entity accelerated towards the distant aeroplane, seeing its nose turn to face them like a beast at bay. This time the rats had nowhere left to run. She glanced aside as a vehicle thundered past her, saw Iron Bar Bassie weaving his way through the pack toward the lead, his black and bloody face set in an animal snarl.
Unkillable. Up ahead, the plane suddenly started forward, running to meet them like a suicidal pigeon. As Entity watched it come, frowning with surprise, she suddenly saw another vehicle emerge from the dust behind it and draw even with the plane. One of her own vehicles.
Who the bloody hell was driving that thing? This sounds like Bingo walked into here. And what the hell was he doing? And suddenly she knew.
Mad Max, motherfuckers!
It's Snagglepuss. What? Wouldn't that be a surprise?
Snagglepuss.
Snagglepuss was driving.
They left me When he does jump out of the vehicle, doesn't he? But this is like Mad Max's only superpower. Like, I am an unashamed fan of all the Mad Max movies.
Yeah.
But he has the shittiest superpowers going around. He basically is really good at playing chicken.
I reckon he needs an eye test. I reckon it's accidental. I don't think he even realises the other car's coming at him.
Can't see shit.
Yeah. Yeah, sure enough.
That's it. In the first movie, he plays chicken with all the bikies and stuff, and he plays chicken with Together at the start. In the second movie, he just drives in a straight line in the truck, and everyone like smashes into him and kills themselves. And in this one, he saves the day by playing chicken yet again. It's very strange. And then we see his one friggin' fight in this movie, and he's fucking useless because he can't even find his whistle.
And during the credits, he's dancing the funky chicken, which I found surprising. He stacks the car into iron bars. The plane flies away. Entity has him at her mercy. This is the time to get a revenge on Max, but...
Entity watched his face, raised her hands abruptly, forcing the guard's weapons down. She stared at Max again through an endless moment. And we are pair, ruggedy man. She said softly.
And she leaves him. It's basically like, run along, you little scamper boy, without mischief. Oh!
Yes, and just the endless moment that ended.
Lets him go. And then the folks in the plane, they fly off and they see ahead of him, vaulting out from the two rims of the canyon, were the separate ends of the Sydney Harbour Bridge, perfectly intact, but with their entire centre section missing. The two ends reached out toward each other in black silhouette, like two lovers' hands that would never touch again. What had once been Sydney Harbour was now a wide, dust-dry valley.
It's a sexy bridge.
I think that's pretty badass. It was like a lover's dick and an open mouth that would never meet across the void. And then look...
that mouth was now a wide, dust-dry valley.
There's the epilogue. Savannah tells the story of Max to future generations in gibberish that makes Tom Hanks in Cloud Atlas seem succinct. But meanwhile, here's the ending, short ending. The lone Max treks on.
He made his way along the crest of a ridge as the last fires of twilight faded into ashes, following the Misa's meandering course because all directions were the same in the wasteland.
Walking the knife's edge above a black shadow sea, lost in the darkness like a single star, he travelled alone, deeper into the night.
Mixing his metaphors madly. So madly.
I like that ending. I reckon that's just top drawer Vinge action. Love it. Now,
not the Vinge expert that you are.
That is Mad Max. That is Beyond Thunderdome. Not much happened once we got beyond the Thunderdome, but look, we came back to Bartertown. Bloody brilliant. Got to ask you, always ask it, was the book better?
No.
No. You're going to side with the movie? Now, I'm going to be controversial because I'm not as familiar with the movie. And because I didn't get to see it at the time, I actually...
What are you doing in 1985? You're a year older than me.
I just was interested. I don't know. It never appealed to me.
How did Return of the Jedi appeal to you and this one not appeal to you?
It's got fucking Jabba the Hutt and Ewoks and shit in it.
This has got
like
Angry Anderson.
Angry Anderson in it. I was terrified of Angry Anderson.
An Australian budget version of Jabba the Hutt?
Kind of. It's kind of like Jabba the Hutt and an Ewok had a baby. And it was Angry Anderson. No, this is why. Because I love Fury Road so much, and if you read this with the visuals and the style and the quality of Fury Road in your head, and you imagine this story and everything...
You're imagining Tom Hardy as
I'm imagining everything just unfolding like in Fury Road. And all these characters are far more epic in my head, and the battles and everything are more epic than the actual film is. So that's why I can read it and go, oh, this is like... Because if I read Fury Road and then this was just an author writing a short story about Mad Max, which was to tie in, and it ended before the hippie shit, I'd go, yeah, that's a pretty cool story. Well done. You know? Like, just in that sort of expanded universe kind of way. So in that respect, yeah, I'm going to say the book was better. So, Amazon. I went to Amazon. I only chose one review. I noticed you picked another one, so I'd be curious to see what you think. But this is the one I chose that I thought just summed it up beautifully. The heading is, "This was a PleaseNet read, nothing too famous." And it's by Tyler.
I actually looked up famos to see if it was actually a word, but it wasn't a word.
He says, this is his review. "It's about a guy named Max and his adventure in Thunderdome. I like it because it had fighting in it and there was a woman."
There was a woman.
And there was a woman. I think...
Poetry, really.
Fighting, a woman, two things I look for in a book. Brilliant. What else do you need to know?
Top it off with a friggin' Thunderdome.
Buy it. But you found one as well?
Yeah. Better than the movie, obviously.
Ooh.
This book is obviously and almost always is better than the movie. So this guy kind of agrees with you, but if he could get his tense right. The movie wasn't as violent as the book. In fact, if Miller had followed the script, this movie would have been rated R rather than PG-13. It is almost exactly the same as the movie with little things removed from them, such as the collector. In the movie, he lives, and in the novel, Auntie's tower falls on him. The movie also has the leg brace on his leg from the Road Warrior, but is still a good reader.
It is a good reader. I'm going to go back to the other guy and argue that it's a good reader because it's, A, it's got fighting, and B, it's got women in it. And,
But does it have his leg brace on his leg?
well, no. So I've got room for a C. That's the C. They're the things. 3 things that would recommend this book. Shit, there we go. Look, we did it. A bit of an epic, but, this is an Australian epic. And a saga which is continuing.
Very Australian weather that we're recording this in as well.
Thank goodness, yeah, it's quite warm in here. We haven't had the air conditioning on because, we want to give you the crisp, clean sound
Luke's
of...
been trying to make me strip down to my
This is
boxes.
a very professional studio. I'm putting the pressure on, heating things up. We've done this whole thing. You're
I'm
backed up
searching for my
against...
rape wisdom.
You're backed up against a wall, and I've got one palm on the wall.
Cupped on my sweaty
Leaned
balls.
out. It's like Rocky and Adrian in that.
Yeah, it's just like that.
We're in the corner behind the door.
I like turtles and I've got a weird hat.
Yeah, which is how we met in the pet store. So, thanks so much, dude. This is great that we finally made this happen. I've had a great time. This is a good one. I reckon I might even put this one out.
I'd hope so.
Yeah, I reckon this one's worth sharing. So, I'm going to put that out very soon, actually. So, thank you so much. No worries. Listen to the other shows. Listen to FP Cast, everybody. Just go to fruitlesspursuits.com. That's easy. Go there. You'll find all our shows, the other shows that I co-host. You will find links to our Facebook discussion group. You can like our page. Please, look, there's been no rating reviewing on iTunes for a long time, and I keep checking every fucking week, and I get disappointed, shattered every week. Rate and review the show. It helps all the algorithms and metrics and things like that. And also, you'll find links to our discussions on Facebook. I might have already said that. You'll hear us two guys talking about all sorts of stuff on there. Come and join that discussion. It's really intellectual and
Highbrow, totally highbrow.
Totally highbrow. And Patreon. Patreon's on there as well. Look, it's just it's a smorgasbord of things all laid out for your entertainment. So grab a little plate.
What are you waiting for?
Yeah, and put some salad on it.
Dive into the buffet.
Whew. So, anything you wanted to add?
The movie was better.
Okay, yeah, we've done that. Great. But worth reiterating. Because, why not? Look, we got this far. It's free, and we're going to get out of here.
Luke is now going to walk the knife edge above a black shadow.
I am. I'm
lost in the darkness like a single star.
No, I do have something I want to say. This is the last episode of non-Christmas programming because we're about to hit December. I'm going to give you in December, all things willing, 3 special Christmas episodes, 3 different Christmas books, 3 different guest stars. Going to be a lot of fun. I've ordered those in. I've already told you that one of them is the Santa Claus because I gave that away. And then, very last thing before Christmas is the novelization writing challenge. Now, if people are new to the show, what that means is myself and a group of usually 4 to 5 guest hosts, might even be more this year if people are interested. We get apparently there's going to be like 15 scenes given to us to choose from. So I really could get people involved. Yeah, well, what happens is a movie is chosen, and it is a Christmas movie, which does not have a novelization. And it's usually a pretty awful movie, and it's something that people are very unlikely to have seen. And I know what it is. It's fucking great. I'll tell you after I want it to be a surprise to the listeners. But Tim the Stats Man, who's been a very dedicated friend of the show, and also he's been a guest on at least one episode, he takes on this gargantuan thankless task. Well, we do thank him, but what's that worth? He watches the film and he chooses a set of scenes and he transcribes them. He gives us the information. And then we go away, and just using his script that he's created from the film, we write our own versions of those scenes, just as we were real novelization people. It's insurance for the show in a way, because there's probably people like Joan da Vinge and stuff. We criticize their writing in the show, and they go, "Oh,
no, you didn't.
So easy, you do it." We prove every year that it's a piece of piss and that we are excellent at it. So that's what we're going to do. There'll be a group of us.
You have been on the Vinge wagon all friggin' episode.
I am on the Vinge wagon. I'm speaking more about your belligerence than mine.
Come at me, Vinge. Come the fuck at me.
So
even bring Vinge Diesel along for the ride.
So that's what is going to. Someone please Photoshop Vinge Diesel in the on the Facebook group. That's another task. So yeah.
God, I saw a picture of Joan Vinge today. That would be amazing.
Yeah, I did too. So that happened. That's going to happen. Then it'll be Christmas. Then I'm going to take a little bit of a break, recharge the old batteries, probably only for a couple of weeks. But normally I just don't do anything in those weeks. I'm going to play some classic episodes, which where Jess was the co-host. Because she was the co-host for the first 30 episodes, and a lot of new listeners have never heard those original shows, and there's some really great stuff, like Sandra Bullock's The Net, when we did Alien, so I'm going to be sharing those, and I'll record a new sort of intro to that as well. So, fuck, look at all those gifts, and it's not even December yet. All coming your way. Thanks again, dude. This was awesome. Hopefully, we'll get to do it again.
No worries, bro.
Yeah.
I think a burp is the perfect place to end it.
I don't think they even heard that burp. You just fucking... There you go. That wasn't me. You got to say the thing. So at the end of the episode, the guest says, "I catch you on the flips." You got to say it.
Okay. Catch you on the flips.
Jumanji.